ready for 5 action-packed days exploring Malta's top attractions. From prehistoric temples older than Stonehenge to the stunning Blue Lagoon, charming Valletta streets, and vibrant nightlife, this Malta travel itinerary has it all. Plus, you'll get expert Malta travel tips to experience the island like a local. Best time to visit. The sweet spot for Malta is late April to early June, when days warm to 70 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 to 26 degrees Celsius, and the sea starts to invite to swim. You'll get long daylight hours, blooming countryside, and just enough buzz without the summer crush. Autumn from mid-September to late October brings similar weather with quieter streets and lower hotel rates. Summer heats up to 85 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 29 to 35 degrees Celsius for long beach days, but it's the busiest and priciest season, so book ahead. Even in winter, with mild 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 13 to 18 degrees Celsius days, you can explore comfortably, linger over coffee, and enjoy the island without the crowds. Airport tips. Malta International Airport is only a short drive from Valletta, so you can be at the city gates in around 15 to 20 minutes after landing. The express bus is the most budget-friendly option at about $2, running every 20 to 30 minutes and reaching the capital in roughly 25 minutes. If you'd rather skip the wait and head straight to your hotel, taxis and ride-hail services cost around $20 to $25 and take about the same time. A good choice if you're arriving late or carrying heavier bags. Where to stay? Valletta is Malta's historic heart, with grand architecture, harbor views, and museums at your doorstep. Luxury hotels start from around $280 a night, while mid-range stays begin at about $150. Across the harbor, the Sliema and St. Julian's area offer waterfront promenades, shopping, and plenty of dining options. Here, you'll find mid-range hotels from around $130 and budget-friendly guest houses from about $80. On Gozo, Magar takes a great base for island hopping, with boutique hotels starting from roughly $200 a night, while Victoria offers a central location and charming guest houses from about $120. For a quieter seaside stay, look to St. Paul's Bay or Bugiba, where relaxed guest houses and apartments start from $70 and you're still well connected to the rest of the islands. How to get around. Distances in Malta are short, but each trip feels like a change of scene. From bustling harbors to quiet clifftop roads, public buses reach almost every town, with fares at about $2 in summer and $1.50 in winter. Rental cars start at around $35 a day, though narrow streets can make parking tricky. On Gozo, scooters and e-bikes from around $20 a day are a fun way to explore. Ferries link Valletta to Sliema and the 3 cities in under 10 minutes for about $1.50 each way, with regular crossings to Gozo and Comino. Insider tip. If buses are your main transport, get a 7-day Linea Explore card for about $27 for unlimited rides across Malta and Gozo. Day 1. Valletta and the 3 cities, from golden streets to harbor views. Morning. Breakfast at Coffee Circus Lisboa. Tucked beneath Valletta's streets, Coffee Circus Lisboa is a cozy hideaway where the aroma of fresh roasted beans finds you before you've even stepped inside. The stone walls and soft lighting make it the kind of spot you settle into, watching locals ease into their morning over velvety cappuccinos. Order a flaky croissant, a slice of warm banana bread, or a light breakfast plate. Most dishes cost under $12, leaving room in your budget for that second coffee you'll probably want. When you step back outside, the narrow lanes are already alive with sunlight, and the first stop of the day is just a short stroll away. St. John's Co-Cathedral. From the outside, St. John's Co-Cathedral is all sturdy limestone walls and simple lines, a deliberate display of strength. But step through its doors, and the space bursts into golden leaf, marble, and sweeping Baroque frescoes. Built in the late 15th century by the Knights of St. John, it holds treasures like Caravaggio's The Beheading of St. John the Baptist, the only work he ever signed. Entry is about $17, which includes an audio guide to help you spot the details you might miss otherwise. Take your time here. Every inch of the place was designed to impress, and it still does, more than 4 centuries later. Late morning. Grand Master's Palace, Staterooms and Armory. Just a few streets away, the Grand Master's Palace still carries the authority of the leaders who once ruled Malta. The staterooms are lined with rich tapestries and portraits, while the armory displays an extraordinary collection of weapons and armor, some worn in battles that shaped the island's history. Tickets are around $13 for adults, with reduced rates for students and seniors. Wandering its halls, you can almost hear the echo of footsteps on polished floors and imagine the decisions that were made here, decisions that would ripple far beyond Malta's shores. Lower Baraka Garden and Siege Bell War Monument. Just downhill from Upper Baraka, the Lower Baraka Garden offers a quieter, shaded pause. Marble plaques line the paths, and a neoclassical monument to Sir Alexander Ball stands at its center, a token of gratitude from the early 1800s. From the edge, the Grand Harbor spreads out in full view, with Fort St. Angelo and anchored ships in the distance. Insider tip. For a photo that feels more personal, cross the road from the garden to the small seating terrace. From there, the siege bell lines up perfectly with the bronze soldier statue and the three cities beyond, all without the crowd that usually gathers by the bell itself. Late morning, Upper Baraka Garden and cannon firing. High above the Grand Harbor, Upper Baraka Garden is where Valletta opens its arms to the sea. Shaded arcades frame sweeping views, but the real draw at midday is the saluting battery. At exactly 12 p.m., uniformed gunners fire a cannon in a tradition that dates back to the 1800s. It's free to watch from the gardens, but you can also pay $4 to stand on the battery itself for a closer look and a bit more history from the guides. Insider tip. Arrive at least 15 minutes early if you want a front row spot along the balustrade. By noon, most of the best spots are already taken. Afternoon. Ride panoramic lift to Valletta waterfront. From the Upper Baraka Garden, step into the panoramic lift, a sleek, glass-sided capsule set into the old city walls. In less than half a minute, you're gliding from the bastion's edge to sea level, watching limestone give way to open water. At about $1 per ride, it's as much a shortcut as it is a scenic monument, linking Valletta's hilltop streets directly to the historic waterfront. Lunch at Brown's Kitchen, Valletta waterfront. At the base of the lift, the Valletta waterfront unfolds in a row of restored 18th century warehouses, their colorful doors opening onto restaurants and cafes. Brown's Kitchen is one of its highlights, marrying harbor views with Maltese and Mediterranean flavors. Watch ferries pull in while you enjoy fresh seafood pasta, a perfectly seared salmon fillet, or Malta's signature rabbit stew, slow braised in red wine. Mains are between $19 and $30, and the plates are generous enough to fuel an afternoon of exploring. If the weather is kind, sit outside. The view, the sound of rigging against masts, and the salty breeze make it one of Valletta's most atmospheric lunch spots. Take the Valletta Three Cities shuttle boat. From the waterfront, it's just a few steps to the pier where the shuttle boat departs for the three cities. The crossing takes under 10 minutes, but it's packed with views, fortress walls rising above the water, shipyards stretching into the distance, and the domes and spires of Vittoriosa drawing closer with each wave. A return ticket is about $4 and includes the panoramic lift ride back up to Valletta later. Find a seat on the open deck if you can. The breeze and the wide-angle view of the Grand Harbor are worth it. Vittoriosa, Birgu. Once the base of the Knights of St. John, Vittoriosa's narrow lanes and golden stone buildings carry centuries of stories. Walk along the marina lined with yachts, then slip into side streets where washing lines sway overhead and carved balconies lean toward the sun. At the tip of the peninsula, Fort St. Angelo stands guard, a reminder of the city's role in Malta's defenses. You can explore the fort if time allows, but even without going inside, the walk to its gates offers sweeping views back toward Valletta. Late afternoon, Senegli Isla. From Vittoriosa, cross the bridge into Sengli, a quieter city that still keeps its watch over the harbor. Make your way to the Gargiola Gardens at the tip of the peninsula, where the famous guard tower is carved with eyes and ears, symbols of vigilance from Malta's military past. From here, Valletta's skyline unfolds in full, with the dome of the Carmelita Church and the spire of St. Paul's rising above the bastions. It's one of the best panoramic spots in the Grand Harbor area and free to enjoy. Late afternoon, Cospicua, Formula. Loop back through Cospicua, the largest of the three cities, with wide streets and a more lived-in feel. Here, historic churches stand alongside everyday shops, and locals gather in small cafes that spill out onto the pavement. Take your time wandering. The city's charm is in its details, from weathered doorways to the echoes of church bells across the harbor. Evening, Merchant Street and Republic Street shopping. Back in Valletta, slip into the city's two main shopping streets for a relaxed evening stroll. Merchant Street blends local boutiques with open-air stalls where you can find everything from handmade jewelry to Maltese lace. A few steps away, Republic Street offers a mix of designer brands, artisan shops, and cafes tucked between grand limestone facades. Together, they're the city's retail heart. Lively, colorful, and the perfect prelude to dinner. Dinner at De Pablo Trattoria di Mare. After browsing Valletta's main shopping streets, it's only a short walk to De Pablo Trattoria di Mare. This welcoming spot blends Italian fare with Maltese ingredients, offering plates like spaghetti alla vongole, grilled calamari with lemon, and homemade pasta tossed with the day's fresh catch. Mains are usually between $20 and $30, served in portions that strike the balance between hearty and refined. Warm lighting, friendly service, and the hum of surrounding streets make it an inviting way to close your first day in Malta. Day 2. Mdina, Rabat, and Malta's Wild West Coast. Morning. Grab coffee and takeaway at Lot 61 Coffee Roasters. Start your day with a caffeine boost at Lot 61 Coffee Roasters, a specialty cafe known for sourcing and roasting its own beans. Inside, the air hums with the sound of grinders and the scent of freshly brewed espresso. Locals line up for their morning fix, and the pastry case tempts with flaky croissants, banana bread, and vegan muffins, perfect for you to take along to your short drive to Mdina. Most drinks are under $6, and a light bite will set you back only a few more, making it a quick, energizing start before stepping into Malta's ancient heart. Mdina, St. Paul's Cathedral and Museum. From Valletta, it's about a 25-minute drive inland to Mdina, the fortified hilltop city once Malta's capital. Known as the Silent City, its narrow lanes and honey-colored walls feel centuries removed from the bustle you've just left behind. At the heart of it all stands St. Paul's Cathedral, rising from the main square in golden limestone that glows in the morning light. Built in the late 1600s after an earthquake, it's dedicated to the apostle believed to have been shipwrecked on Malta. Inside, vaulted ceilings bloom with frescoes, and the floor is set with marble tombstones and intricate designs. Entry is about $13, and it also gives you access to the adjoining museum with its collection of religious art, silverware, and wood carvings. Valletta Palace. Just inside Mdina's main gate, Valletta Palace greets you with a grand Baroque facade. Once the resident of Grand Master Antonio Manuel de Villena, it now houses the National Museum of Natural History. The exhibits range from fossils and minerals to Malta's native birds, but even if you're not a museum devotee, the building itself is worth the stop. Entry is about $6, and the open courtyard offers a moment to pause and take in the palace's architecture before continuing deeper into Mdina's winding streets. Late morning, Felsen Palace. A short walk from the cathedral brings you to Felsen Palace, a 13th century townhouse that feels frozen in time. Once home to a wealthy nobleman, its rooms are furnished as they might have been centuries ago, from antique furniture and tapestries to an impressive library and a collection of rare coins. Entry is about $12, and the included audio guide shares the kind of small, personal details that bring the place to life. Vilgaon Street. Vilgaon Street runs through the heart of Mdina, lined with graceful palaces, shuttered balconies, and quiet courtyards hidden beneath carved wooden doors. It's the city at its most cinematic. No traffic, just the echo of footsteps on stone and the occasional horse-drawn carriage passing by. Strolling here takes only minutes, but it's worth slowing your pace to notice the details in the stonework and the gentle curves of the lane as it winds toward the old city walls. Afternoon. Lunch at Kugi's Pizzeria and Bistro. From Vilgaon Street, a few turns brings you to a quiet square where Kogi's Pizzeria and Bistro sits behind thick stone walls and high arches. The menu mixes Italian and Mediterranean flavors with wood-fired pizzas, fresh pasta, and crisp salads. A margarita is around $14, while seafood pasta or grilled meats range from $20 to $25. If the weather's good, choose a table on the terrace. The golden stone around you and the slow rhythm of Mdina make it an inviting pause before your afternoon sights. Old Moat Gardens. Just outside Mdina's walls, the Old Moat Gardens turn what was once a deep defensive ditch into a peaceful green space. Paths wind between manicured lawns, flowering shrubs, and the city's towering bastions, a striking contrast of soft greenery against solid stone. It's free to enter, and the shaded benches make it a pleasant spot to rest for a few minutes before crossing into Rabat for the next chapter of the day. St. Paul's Church. From the gardens, it's only a few minutes before the streets of Rabat open onto the dome of St. Paul's Church. Built in the 17th century over the site where tradition says the apostle preached after his shipwreck, it's a place where history and devotion still meet. Inside, golden Baroque detail frames, soft frescoes, and the light from high windows casts long shadows across the marble floor. Entry is free, but a small donation helps keep the church maintained for future visitors. St. Paul's Grotto. Beneath the church, a staircase leads into St. Paul's Grotto, a small, rough-hewn chamber where the apostle is believed to have sought refuge. The cool air and low light give it an almost timeless quality. The grotto is part of the Wigna Court Museum, and for about $6, you can also explore the museum's collection of paintings, sculptures, and historic relics connected to Malta's Catholic heritage. Rabat Catacombs. Just a short walk away, the catacombs spread beneath the earth in a network of narrow tunnels and carved chambers. These early Christian burial sites date back to the 3rd century, and walking through them feels like stepping into a hidden chapter of Malta's past. The air is cool, but the footing uneven, so comfortable shoes are a must. Entry is around $6, and the main St. Paul's Catacombs complex is the largest and easiest to navigate. Insider tip. If you're visiting in summer, the catacombs are one of the coolest spots you'll find all day, both in temperature and in atmosphere. Late afternoon, Dingley Cliffs. After exploring Rabat's winding streets and underground treasures, it's time to swap stone walls for open skies. Hop in a car and head west, where the land suddenly drops away into the Mediterranean. Dingley Cliffs stand nearly 800 feet above the water, offering Malta's highest viewpoint. Park by the small chapel of St. Mary Magdalene and follow the path along the cliff edge. Every few steps brings a new perspective, the sea stretching endlessly ahead, the coastline folding in and out, and on clear days, the tiny island of Filfa visible in the distance. Evening, Ain Tufiha Bay. From the cliffs, continue north to Ain Tufiha Bay, a sweep of golden sand framed by rocky slopes. You'll need to descend a long staircase to reach the beach, but the calm, clear water makes it worth the climb back up. It's a favorite for both locals and travelers, yet still feels more relaxed than Malta's busier beaches. Insider tip. If you plan to swim, pack water shoes. The seabed here can be pebbly in places, and if you're staying for sunset, give yourself extra time for the climb back up before the light fades. Dinner at Singita Restaurant. If watching the sunset from the sand feels magical, then there's an even better vantage point waiting just above the beach. Singita sits on the cliffs overlooking Ain Tufiha Bay with an open terrace perfectly positioned for that final glow of the day. From here, you can watch the light fade across the water as the waves roll in below. The menu blends Mediterranean and Italian flavors. Think grilled local fish for around $25 to $30, or fresh pasta and pizza in the $16 to $20 range. The pace is unhurried, the service warm, and the view alone is reason enough to end your day here. Day 3. Gozo's timeless landscapes and coastal wonders. Morning. Ferry from Chiquerwa, Malta, to Gozo. Today's journey starts at Chiquerwa, Malta's northernmost point, where the ferry slips across the channel to Gozo. The ride takes about 25 minutes, but keep your camera ready. The sea here is an intense sapphire, and the limestone cliffs of Gozo rise into view as you approach. If you're up early, grab a seat on deck for the morning light. You'll pass by the tiny island of Comino, its rocky outline cutting into the horizon. The crossing is efficient and comfortable, with space indoors if you want to stay out of the wind. Insider tip. You won't need to buy a ticket before boarding at Chiquerwa. Payment is only collected on the return from Gozo to Malta, so you won't need to queue for tickets this morning. Victoria Cittadella. From Umgar Harbor, it's a short drive to Victoria, the capital of Gozo, and its crowning landmark, the Cittadella. Rising above the town, this fortified complex has guarded the island for centuries. Walk through its gates and you'll find a network of winding lanes, restored stone buildings, and sweeping terraces where the view runs from the coast on one side to the rolling countryside on the other. Entry to the Cittadella's main area is free, but some of its museums, like the Gozo Museum of Archaeology, have a small fee. Take your time here. This is the kind of place where every corner tells a story. Victoria, city center streets. Leaving the Cittadella, wander down into Victoria's heart along Repubblica and Fortunati Mizzi streets. These lively thoroughfares are lined with shops selling local crafts, cafes spilling onto the pavement, and stalls piled high with Gozo cheeses, sun-dried tomatoes, and jars of honey. It's a chance to see daily life in motion, locals chatting outside bakeries, market vendors calling out their specials, and to pick up a few treats for the day ahead. Late morning, brunch at Caramelli Brunch Cafe. After exploring Victoria's main streets, make your way to Caramelli Brunch Cafe, a cozy spot tucked just off the center. The atmosphere is warm and unhurried, perfect for refueling before the coast calls. Their menu leans fresh and comforting, with options like fluffy pancakes topped with local honey, open sandwiches layered with Gozo cheese, and hearty egg dishes. Most plates fall between $10 and $16, and portions are generous without being heavy. Pair your choice with a cappuccino or freshly squeezed juice, and you'll be set for the afternoon's seaside adventures. Afternoon, Duera, Inland Sea. Leaving Victoria, head toward Gozo's rugged western coast, where Duera's dramatic landscapes await. First stop is the Inland Sea, a sheltered lagoon connected to the open Mediterranean by a narrow natural tunnel through the cliffs. Fishermen still keep their boats here, and short boat trips through the tunnel take you out into open water, passing sheer rock faces and hidden caves. The colors shift from deep blue to turquoise in seconds, and the contrast between the calm lagoon and the churning sea outside is unforgettable. Blue Hole. A short walk from the Inland Sea brings you to the Blue Hole, a natural rock formation beloved by divers from around the world. Even if you're not here to dive, the view alone is worth the stop. A perfectly round pool carved into the limestone, connected to the open sea through an underwater arch. On windy days, waves crash dramatically against the surrounding rocks, sending spray high into the air. Fungus Rock. Just beyond the Blue Hole lies Fungus Rock, a towering limestone outcrop once guarded by the Knights of St. John. They believed a rare medicinal plant grew only here and posted guards to protect it. Today, the rock is off limits to visitors, but the view from the outside lookout is striking, the monolith rising from the sea, framed by an endless horizon. Insider tip. Duera is completely exposed with little to no shade. Bring water, sunscreen, and a hat, especially in summer months. Late afternoon, Tapinu Basilica. Leaving Duera behind, the road cuts through Gozo's quiet countryside until a great stone church appears on the horizon. Standing apart from the villages, Tapinu Basilica seems almost to rise from the fields themselves. Inside, high arches and intricate mosaics frame side chapels filled with tokens of gratitude from those who believe their prayers were answered. The air is calm and still, with sunlight pouring through stained glass onto the polished floor. Even if you've only come for the view, the open fields stretching away on all sides make this a stop to remember. Insider tip. While entry is free, modest dress is required. Cover shoulders and knees, or bring a light scarf to wrap if needed. Evening, dinner at Brecque Restaurant. As evening settles over Gozo, head into the peaceful village of Harb, just minutes from Tapinu Basilica, for dinner at Brecque Restaurant. The vibe here is welcoming and unpretentious, with a menu that balances local flavors and Mediterranean favorites. Start with something light like agliotta, a traditional fish soup, or beef carpaccio, then move to mains such as grilled swordfish, rabbit stew, or tender beef fillet. Most main dishes range from $20 to $28, while starters sit between $9 and $14. The portions are generous, the service is warm, and the quiet village setting makes it a perfect final stop before winding down for the night. Day 4, Comino's Crystal Waters and Gozo's Coastal Wonders. Morning, breakfast at the White Knight Bistro. The day begins in the quiet of Mgar, Gozo's harbor town. Just steps from the port, the White Knight Bistro serves breakfast in a warm, inviting space that feels both local and welcoming. The menu leans fresh and simple: flaky pastries, golden toast topped with tomatoes and olive oil, creamy scrambled eggs, and coffee that's as rich as it is smooth. It's a calm start, a chance to ease into the day before setting off for Malta's most famous stretch of water. Shuttle boat to Comino and the Blue Lagoon. From the bistro, it's only a short walk to the shuttle boat that will carry you across to Comino. Within minutes, the island's pale limestone cliffs and sapphire waters come into view. The boat pulls into the Blue Lagoon, where the sea shifts from deep blue to luminous turquoise in the shallows. This is the kind of place you'll want to slow down for, swimming, snorkeling, or just letting the sun warm your skin as you float in water so clear it feels unreal. Insider tip: once you arrive at the Blue Lagoon, avoid the most crowded strip and walk just a few minutes toward the Crystal Lagoon instead. The water's just as clear and beautiful, and you'll find yourself in a much quieter cove. Late morning, Comino's hidden beaches. If you're looking for something quieter, a gentle walk takes you past the island's only hotel to smaller coves tucked out of sight. Here, the crowd's thin, the air is still, and the only sounds are the waves lapping against the rocks and the cry of seabirds overhead. It's the perfect spot to stretch out on the sand and take in a quieter side of Comino before heading back. Afternoon, lunch at 180 Kitchen, Mgar Yacht Marina. When you return to Gozo, follow the curve of the harbor to 180 Kitchen, a stylish restaurant right on the yacht marina. The terrace overlooks fishing boats and the open sea beyond, making it an easy place to linger. The menu blends Mediterranean flavors with local produce, from fresh seafood linguine with clams and white wine to creamy burrata drizzled with honey, and seasonal risottos rich with local mussels. Starters usually run between $15 and $19, mains from $20 to $28, and sharing platters around $40. Order a chilled glass of wine, watch the sunlight dance on the water, and let lunch set the pace for the rest of your afternoon. Late afternoon, Marselforn Salt Pans. After lunch, head north to the Marselforn Salt Pans, a patchwork of shallow pools carved into the rock. For centuries, locals have harvested sea salt here, letting the sun evaporate the water until only delicate crystals remain. In the late afternoon, the light catches on the water-filled basins, turning them gold. It's a peaceful, open space where the sea breeze carries the faint scent of salt. Oued El Hasri. From the salt pans, it's a short drive to Oued El Hasri, one of Gozo's most photogenic inlets. Limestone cliffs rise steeply on either side of a narrow channel where the sea glows deep green in the shade. You can climb down to the small pebble beach for a swim or simply stand at the top and take in the view. It's the kind of place that feels untouched, as if you've stumbled across one of the island's best-kept secrets. Evening, dinner at the View Bar and Kitchen. End the day at the View Bar and Kitchen, perched above the village of Hasri. True to its name, the terrace looks out over rolling hills and the rugged coastline, catching the last colors of the sunset. The menu celebrates local ingredients. Think grilled fish with lemon and herbs, tender lamb shank, or a rich seafood stew. Mains typically range from $20 to $30, and the portions are generous enough to satisfy after a day in the sea air. With the sky fading from gold to deep blue, it's the perfect place to raise a glass to another day well spent in Malta's islands. Day 5. Coastal icons and harborside charm. Morning. Breakfast at Giuseppe, Cafe and Bistro. Start your final day in Malta with breakfast at Giuseppe Cafe and Bistro. It's a relaxed spot in Gozo with the kind of warmth you can get from a family-run cafe. Order a hearty omelet, fresh croissant, or their well-loved avocado toast, all paired with rich, aromatic coffee. It's fuel for the full day ahead with flavors that linger long after you've finished. Ferry from Gozo to Malta Main Island. From breakfast, it's a short drive to the Mgar ferry terminal. The crossing back to Malta's main island takes about 25 minutes, giving you one last look at Gozo's rugged cliffs and fishing harbors fading into the horizon. On a clear day, you can spot Comino's pale stone and the Blue Lagoon's turquoise strip as you sail past. Popeye Village. Arriving in Malta, head straight to Popeye Village, a film set built for the 1980 musical Popeye, and now one of the island's most colorful attractions. Wooden houses and sun-faded hues perch above Anchor Bay, with walkways winding between them. You can explore the set, watch short performances, and even swim in the bay below if the weather's warm. Entry is around $20, and it's a playful stop that blends quirky history with fantastic views over the water. Insider tip: if you're not interested in going inside, you can still get a spectacular view of the village from the cliff opposite the entrance, completely free and often even more photogenic. Afternoon, lunch at Azul Restaurant. Continue south to Oued El Zerek and pause for lunch at Azul Restaurant. The terrace overlooks the water, and if the sea is calm, you can watch boats heading out towards the Blue Grotto while you dine. Fresh fish is the highlight here, grilled whole with lemon and herbs, or try the seafood pasta tossed with clams and prawns. Mains are generally between $20 and $28, and the breezy coastal setting makes it a natural pause before your next adventure. Blue Grotto. After lunch, take a short walk down to the Blue Grotto viewpoint. From here, you'll see the main arch rising dramatically from the sea, with sunlight bouncing through the water in shifting shades of blue. If conditions allow, a small boat tour from the Oued Il Zedek dock will take you beneath the arch and into sea caves lit with almost unreal color. Boat trips run about $10 and last 20 minutes, offering a perspective you simply can't get from land. Insider tip: the Blue Grotto is at its most vibrant in the late morning when the sun hits the water just right. If you're here later in the day, the viewpoint still delivers, but the caves will have softer, more muted light. Late afternoon, Marsa Shlock Fishing Village. Next, follow the coast to Marsa Shlock, Malta's famous fishing village. Brightly painted Luzu boats bob in the harbor, their prows decorated with the traditional Eye of Osiris to ward off bad luck. Stalls line the waterfront, selling everything from lace and linen to fresh honey and spices. Even without the bustle of the Sunday fish market, it's a charming place to stroll, photograph, and maybe pick up a last-minute souvenir. Evening, St. Peter's Pool. Before returning to Valletta, make one last swim stop at St. Peter's Pool. This natural rock formation forms a perfect horseshoe of crystal clear water, popular for cliff jumping and sunbathing. The flat rock shelves make it easy to stretch out, and the water is deep and calm enough for a refreshing dip. In the golden light of evening, the whole scene glows. Insider tip: the path to St. Peter's Pool is uneven and can be slippery in spots. Wear sturdy sandals or trainers for the walk and bring plenty of water. There are no facilities on site. Dinner at Balzunetta Restaurant. Back in Valletta, end your trip with dinner at Balzunetta Restaurant. Tucked near the city walls, it blends a relaxed tavern feel with plates full of character, like handmade pasta, seasonal salads, and meat dishes roasted to perfection. Mains run from $18 to $26, and the easygoing atmosphere makes it the ideal place to reminisce about your journey through Malta before saying goodbye. 5 days in Malta fly by, but the colors, flavors, and sea air stay with you. If you're ready for another Mediterranean masterpiece, watch our Amalfi Coast itinerary next. Cliffside villages, winding coastal roads, and sunsets over the Tyrrhenian Sea. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you're set for the next adventure.